The real hidden reason for the catastrophic Miami condo collapse, according to eyewitnesses living next to the Miami condo, and according to many of our audience comments on the last video, and more details about the moment of the collapse. All this after the intro. Don't go far, stay tuned. It was at 1:20 a.m. in Surfside, Florida, where she, her husband Albert, and their 2 children were in the middle of a family vacation in her in-laws' flat on the 11th floor of the Champlain Towers South. She and Albert awoke to trembling walls, the chandelier wildly dancing from the ceiling, and what sounded like a freight train rushing by their chamber. "I hear my son yelling in the living room, 'What the heck is going on?' she explained. Other people in the little coastal hamlet near Miami would subsequently claim to have heard a boom. Some mistook the sounds for thunder, which is a hallmark of summer in southern Florida. It had been a hot and humid night, with the black sky smeared by passing clouds. But then there was another boom, this one louder, and the ground shook. An entire wing of the Champlain Towers South condo complex would be destroyed in less than 12 seconds, reducing 12 stories and 55 units to a flaming heap of concrete and twisted steel, trapping countless thousands within. It would go down in history as one of the greatest building collapse disasters in contemporary U.S. history. But all Jeanette could think of at the time was running into the living room. Was it poor weather, she wondered? Her New Jersey family had survived Hurricane Sandy, but a storm of that magnitude had not been predicted. Residents on the balcony cried out to one another, checking in and inquiring what had occurred. They could see the emergency response teams approach, their members yelling up to those who remained inside. "They're urging us to get out right away," Jeanette remembered. The 4-person family started running for the stairs. They could see the side of the flat sheared off to the left along the corridor. The roof had sloped downward, exposing the black darkness outside via 2 huge breaches. Albert shouted the floor numbers as they dashed down the stairs. Jeanette was paralyzed by fear. "There's no doubt about it, we're going to die here," she said to the BBC. Surveillance film from nearby would show the tower's rapid collapse. The center portion first went into free fall. Then came the east portion. Residents in the area were startled by the boom and hurried outside. Some people believed they heard a bomb go off. "We witnessed individuals calling for aid from their balconies and using mobile phone torches to attract attention," Juan Esteban Triana, who lives next door to the tower, told BBC Mundo. "I felt powerless and impotent, and there was nothing I could do but watch," he added. The Agueros made it to the basement garage and fought their way to the pool deck through rubble. People called out to them from somewhere in the dark, wondering how they got out, but Jeanette didn't know how to aid them at the time. "Those are the things that will come back to haunt you," she explained. Engine 76 responded within 10 minutes, traveling from the Bay Harbor Islands firehouse, which was less than 2 miles distant. But the structure had already been destroyed. It had only taken 20 seconds for a cloud of ash and smoke to cover the scene. A firefighter returned the call to dispatch. "The structure is no longer standing. There are no elevators, and it is nothing. It almost looks like the World Trade Center." Surfside is a small hamlet of around 8 blocks that stretches along a mile of public beach.
So, in total, the number of people accounted for now stands at 136, with 150 unaccounted for. The number of confirmed deaths is 11.
Champlain Towers is located on the town's southern outskirts, with its eastern walls facing straight onto the Atlantic. The condo, which was built in 1981, was home to a few hundred inhabitants, a mix of elderly snowbirds, pensioners who migrate south to Florida in the winter, young families, and well-to-do professionals. "It was always my mom's goal to be able to have a home on the beach," Pablo Rodriguez told the BBC, a desire that was realized when she moved to Champlain's South Tower 10 years ago. She and Pablo's grandma are now among those who have gone missing. By 2 p.m. local time, a temporary reunion center had been established. The Aguero family arrived shortly after, escorted by the rescue squad that had set up camp on Collins Avenue. They remained there shocked for several hours, watching as relatives arrived throughout the night, anxious for information about their families. Jeanette explained, everyone was phoning everyone. The Champlain inhabitants were a close-knit community, and the survivors collaborated to piece together what little information they had. By 2 p.m. local time, a temporary reunion center had been established. The Aguero family arrived shortly after, escorted by the rescue squad that had set up camp on Collins Avenue. They remained there shocked for several hours, watching as relatives arrived throughout the night, anxious for information about their families. Jeanette explained, everyone was phoning everyone. The Champlain inhabitants were a close-knit community, and the survivors collaborated to piece together what little information they had. Jeanette claimed one woman arrived disturbed about 4 o'clock, shouting and crying for her ex-husband. She had arrived at the condo just hours before it fell to pick up their children. "I don't believe it, Jeanette, I don't believe it," she said. Other survivors made their way to the shore, where they huddled together, staring back at their home's wreckage. Local emergency rooms braced themselves expecting a slew of patients, but just a handful showed up. Relatives of those who resided in the building were terrified. What had happened? In the morning, we got a call from my uncle, went on the TV, saw the photos, and started phoning urgently, Pablo told the BBC. To get answers, he was calling them, calling the city, phoning anybody who would hear us, everyone we can get in touch with. As the morning progressed, the town was engulfed by rescue attempts, with its streets clogged with emergency vehicles and news crews. Teams of 10 to 12 rescuers at a time scoured the debris for individuals buried within using sonar cameras and well-trained canines. Even yet, chances for discovering survivors were already dwindling. Surfside Mayor Charles Burkett stated Thursday morning, "The building is completely pancaked. That's upsetting because it doesn't mean we're going to be as successful as we'd like to be in finding individuals alive," he added. When nightfall arrived, the Agueros were transferred to a neighboring motel. They slept in the same bed, numb and tired, as search teams resumed their attempts blocks away. The task was tedious and made more difficult by periodic storms, which took their toll on rescuers. "We are human beings," one said, according to the BBC. "We do our best to get to them, but the notion that behind all this concrete, all this steel, there is a human, perhaps a small kid, buried there is extremely difficult to ignore." Some members of the rescue crew heard pounding noises from time to time. The sound of a woman's voice was detected by rescuers on the first day of the search. They scoured for several hours until the sound vanished. Since then, no voices have been heard. Families of the missing were permitted to travel by bus to the site to witness rescue crews sift through the wreckage. Some people cried out to the wreckage, yelling their loved ones' names. Some others have given up hope of finding additional survivors after seeing the destroyed structure. "I pray to God that they locate someone," a Champlain resident told the BBC. "But if you saw what I saw, you'd see emptiness. Then you go over there and see all of the rubble. How can anyone endure that?" The Agueros have returned to New Jersey, but life has not returned to normal. Jeanette claims they've lost their appetites, sleep at odd hours, and avoid the news. As of Friday afternoon, little over a week after the tower collapsed, 20 individuals have been confirmed deceased, with at least 128 people still missing. One of the fatalities is the 7-year-old daughter of a Miami fireman, whose corpse was discovered Thursday evening. Rescuers have stated that they are still hopeful that someone is alive more than 7 days after the fall. That hope has vanished for Pablo. Instead, he only hopes that his mother and grandmother's bodies can be discovered and properly buried. Jeanette feels survivor's remorse, but more than that, she is perplexed as to how this could have occurred. "It's amazing how these individuals are sleeping in their houses, a place they should feel comfortable in," she added. "Now, whenever I step into a building or a structure, I wonder, am I safe here?" If you liked this video and you want to see more like it, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you get notified every single time a new video goes live.